Good afternoon, 3 p.m. We're ready, okay? We're rolling on the business meal deduction. This is a crazy topic, people. You know how we plan for what we talk about every Tuesday and Saturday? So last Saturday I did my talk, and then I had a couple of items and I want to drill more. One of them is the meal deduction because it's always so ordinary but yet so popular. People need to know. There's so much confusion between the House version, Senate version, then Senate kick it back to House and again more amendment. So between all of these talks, there was one version talked about changing meal deductions. But I am here to tell you there is not immediate change. But let me go through my whole webinars. Don't leave me because I said that. I want to give you a general understanding of everything related to business meal deduction. So as a small business owner, you know what you can do and what you need to do, right? It is still useful. And especially in this changing environment, things will change in 2026, but it's still the same in 2025. But what is the same? We don't even know what is the rule anymore because it's changing like baby changing diapers and or worse, a couple times a day. So here is our website, communitycpa.com. You can always find us, and we are always here available to you. We really try to do our best to give the knowledge to you so you can run your small business properly. In this day and age, knowledge is everything. If you know it, you know to do it. If you don't know it, you're blindsided and you will miss out. So we don't want any one of us to miss out, and we will make an effort to lead you on that path. And of course, YouTube channel, we always deposit all our webinars into the YouTube channel. I already know two of the things I talked about on Saturday. It was actually not really the final bill. So I am going through my time now. Every of the webinar I do, and I'll be getting the updates. So making sure that you always look at the timestamp of that talk because those could be outdated. Things are changing, right? Even the law came out, OBBBA came out, but doesn't mean that it is already implemented. To implement, every different agencies in the government will make regulations. So in that process of making regulations, they will make interpretations to the law. That interpretation could be different from what I am doing today based on what's printed on this very ugly font. Do you realize that those those laws, they print on such an unsexy font? As soon as you look at them, you want to vomit. It's like, why can't they just use a little better font, like New Time Rome and other nice font? Oh no, they choose a very senior looking, outdated DAWS style of font. So as soon as you see that, you're like in the government mode. You're like, oh yeah, this is the government document. Everybody interpret that differently, right? We try our best based on our experience and to make that act, make that law understandable to the layman, to ourselves, because we understand Chinglish, but we don't understand English. All right, this is the book I wrote, so I'm just kind of giving you my slides here while I am having fun with you. And, it's supposed to be lighthearted, right? Well, we are at this webinar mode, and we want to be able to engage a real conversation, even though I cannot hear you, but I literally can imagine you. I knew what you are doing out there, and I just appreciate that you follow me and you do watch my webinars. Okay, no responsibility disclaimer. So if I made you laugh, that's your problem, not mine, because I didn't say you have to laugh. That's the essence of this disclaimer. It's like, yeah, it needs to be here because our corporate attorney would not allow me to even do a webinar if I don't have that slides on there. All right. I start with this talk with a conclusion. So that means you hear this and you can just be gone. No, don't. And let me give you the conclusion. The restaurant business meals remain at 50% deductible under this one big, beautiful act, right? So it's called OBBBA. The act does not restate or introduce 100% of deduction for business meal at the restaurant, as it was temporarily allowed in 2021 and 2022, remember? In 2021 and 2022, if you haven't done your taxes for those 2 years yet, and remember, if it is a business meal at the restaurant, and you can deduct it 100%, all right? So the main new benefit for the restaurant industry in this OBBBA Act is actually related to restaurant employee, mainly for the restaurant employees, to introduce the overtime and the tips income tax exemption, so to a certain level. So we will have a separate session to talk about that just for the employees, all right? Just for the restaurant owners and the restaurant employees, we will do one session. But here, what I want to say to you is the restaurant business meal remain at 50% deduction under this new act. There's no change, but there are other changes, so follow me. What I want to do here is kind of give you one place to situate all your thinking on business meals. So I want to walk you through this history because it helps you to remember the pieces that you remembered, but you don't know which year that was actually the case. So before 2018, business could deduct 50% both meals and entertainment. Business can deduct both meals and entertainment. So if I take a client to golfing, I can deduct the meals, I can deduct the golfing ticket. Okay, so that's before 2018. So in and after 2018, so 2018 is President Trump 1.0, right? So in and after 2018, so he was there for 4 years, so he introduced the Tax Cut and the Job Act, right? That one eliminated the deduction for most business-related entertainment expenses. Didn't really touch the meal, but just said that entertainment is gone. For example, you can deduct any part of the cost taking client out for a round of golf or to the football game. Makes sense, right? Makes sense. In response to COVID-19, business can deduct 100% meals expense in 2021 and 2022. And these are introduced by President Biden. Okay, then continue. We are here today. We are at President Trump 2.0, and you can still generally deduct 50% of the food and the beverages when they are business related. Okay, and you will not deduct the entertainment. All right. So with that, we will get into more details. What qualifies as a business meals? Ordinary necessary expense. Yeah, if you are in business with people and you eat, right? Business ordinary and necessary. And the business context means that it has to be for business reason, cannot be because you're dating you're the boss and you're dating your employee and you go for a business meal. No, that's not business context, right? And the presence requirement means that the person who claims that expense and need to be present cannot be virtual AI, a robot went for you to eat and you deduct. No, it has to be physically present. And eligible attendees, so these attendees must be business related people, not entertainment, and the documentation needed. Deduction limits, generally only 50% of the cost of qualifying business meal is deductible, some exception, right? Such as certain company event or meals provided for employers' convenience, and may allow for 100%. So here, these are existing rules. There's the OBBBA didn't touch it. It's just that. If it is for certain things, you can deduct 100%. I'll cover that code for you so you know exactly that's already exists. Travel on business meals. This is often becoming a separate questions coming out, like for what IRS says about traveling with my spouse. And if your spouse is also an employee of the business, or if your spouse is also a consultant or related party to the business expenses, that context is there. It's okay. It is a business travel. So business expense on the travel, and you could deduct. Per IRS regulation, the general rule is that you can still deduct 50% of the cost of meals while traveling on business. Okay? This is a long-standing rules for substantiating meal expenses that is long existed, no changes, 50%, right? IRS regulation also reiterate the long-standing general rules that no deductions are allowed for meal expenses incurred for spouses, right? Dependents. And other individuals accompany you on the business travel, but they are merely there to enjoy the time and the environment. They're not part of your business contest, right? So that's also a regular rule. And this is also true for spouse and dependents accompany an officer or employee on a business trip, right? So you're an employee of a company and your spouse went with you, and your employer probably won't buy the ticket for your spouse, so obviously it's not deduction. An exception is that when the expense would otherwise be deductible. For example, meal expenses for your spouse are deductible if he or she works at your company, accompanying you on a business trip for legitimate business reasons. For example, if you are handicapped but you need to travel for business, of course you cannot have another colleague to take care of you. Your spouse come with you, that would be deductible. So that's kind of what that means. 100% deductions in certain situations. Let's look at that. So this is also not touched by OBBBA, the new regulations, the new act, but this is what it is, right? The food, beverage, entertainment incurred for recreational, social, or similar activities that are primarily for the benefit of all employees. For example, the company holiday party, those are 100% deductible. They don't subject to the 50% limitation. Food, beverages, entertainment sold to customers in full value. Of course, if you sold that to the customer in full value, you deduct that in full value, so that is allowed. Amount that are reported as taxable compensation to recipient of employees. What that means is that if you give a $2,000 meal voucher to an employee, and you also deduct or you also documented that as a taxable compensation to the employee, then as an employer, you can deduct it 100%. Meals and entertainment that are reported as taxable income to a non-employee recipient on a Form 1099. For example, a customer wins a dinner cruise for 10 valued at $750 at sales presentation. So those are the one, if you report that on 1089, then it's 100% deductible. Now, I want to mention to you that OBBBA did modify the 1099 threshold. It used to be what? 600? 600. If it is over 600, you report on 1099. Right now, that threshold got moved up to 2,000. So if it is under 2,000, you don't need to do 1099. So in this particular interpretation is that as long as it is a taxable income on the non-employee recipient, then you can deduct. So, but you have if it is under 2,000, then in 2025 world, and you don't have to issue 1099 because they don't qualify to be issued 1099. But if you say, well, I just want to do it right, I just want to issue 1099, go ahead, do it. That's fine. But the regulation right now with the new OBBBA, it says that it is need to be over 2,000 for you must issue 1099. All right. What about meals for employees? That's another area that always singled out by the small business owners. They come in, they goes, oh yeah, I travel with my spouse. So that was one of my slides, right? And then they goes, well, what about I give food to the employee? So it's kind of already embedded in the point we have there. But I want to mention to you that generally speaking, it is 50%, generally speaking. But meetings with employees and the meals were provided at the same time, that can be deducted 100%. This is more like the gathering, right? More like the Christmas party and stuff. And the minimum fringe benefit, like in office, coffee and the snacks, like things we buy in our basement. We have a kitchen in the basement. We buy coffee, and those are so-called de minimis fringe benefit. They're not meals, so they can be deducted 100%, not 50%. All right? And the per diem meal paid to employee are 100% deductible, which means that if the employee went to overseas for traveling, and if the per diem rate is $395 per day, and you made that payment, the employer made that payment, that's 100% deductible. You don't need to do 50% on a certain portion of that to be a meal. All right. So what I have given you so far, all of these are related to business meals in general from the rules that existed in the past. And don't think about 2021, 2022, the restaurant meal 100% deduction that President Biden put out, because that is done no more. And so we're kind of going back to the normal setting of the business meals, right? So let's just zoom into the section 7305. This is the section where under the OBBBA, man, I thought it was OBBA, one big beautiful act. I guess it is one big beautiful bill act. Oh my God. All right. Just, you know what I mean, I already declared I speak Chinglish and not even English. So business meal deduction update under that new act, just under this section. So I kind of give you the ugly font print, This is why I say is abomination. It's kind of just not sexy print, right? They could use a better font. Never mind. I just want to show you that, and it's just you know what I mean. And the business meal deduction update under OBBBA, this modifies a rule, modifies something for 2026. So it modifies the rule to say that certain additional industry, and they will also qualify for the 100% deduction. They don't have to be classified as a 50% limitation. So exceptions for limitation on deduction of business meals outline specific changes to the U.S. tax code that expand the type of business meals that can be 100% deducted from the taxable income. The change will take place for expense paid or incurred after December 31st, 2025. That's why in the first slide, and my conclusion is there is no change because we're still in 2025. This change comes in 2026. So this is two specific existing sessions in the tax code talk about exceptions to the general disallowance of meal deduction. So it means that talks about the the business things that you can do 100% deduction, okay? Permit full deduction of food and beverage expense and made available to general public, that's one. It is made available to general public, then you can deduct it all. free samples at the store, refreshment at the promotion point. And I want you to know that these are the ones that's already there. So that's the rule existed there. And these are considered advertising and promotional expenses, not entertainment, so you can deduct it right away. And if business provides meal snack to the public as part of the marketing or goodwill, those costs are fully deductible. See, if it is related to marketing and you deduct our marketing. And in the other section, 274, this one has a wording in here that says the meals is not subject to 50% limitation, means you can deduct 100% if the meal is provided on an employer's business premises, means that the office location. And if the meals is for the convenience of the employers. So, and think harder on those rules. So what about someone works from home? So they are self-employed, they work from home, and they provide the meals for the convenience of the employer is themselves. Their business premises is in their house. So could that be a gig worker's deduction tips in terms of meals, right? So those are the things when you related to your specific situation, and those sections are being looked into, and your tax preparers or your CPAs and your attorneys would be able to draw that conclusion for you. This process of taking it from here to your actual situation, it is what we call the implementation of the law, of the rules, of the regulations. So you have to be able to articulate your positions based on the rules, and if that is your position, that's fine. The position is always a position. We can debate position day in, day out in tax court, but when you filing your taxes, if you say this is 100% deductible and I write off all of my meals, and you want to be able to line up what you do with these codes. So this is where I'm pointing out applications, implementations, and interpretations are coming in for gig workers, right? As amended by the new act, 100% of the cost of meals can be deducted if provided on certain fishing-related vessels. I was trying to figure out which of my clients has a fishing-related vessels. I can think of one or two, but absolutely minority on my list. But I'm pretty sure it wasn't the minority on the lawmakers list. So it makes sense why it is here. And at remote fish processing facility, and this is also, they even give you a latitude to tell you where you can do it. So the session is essentially relevant to the industries like fishing, logging, and remote operations where providing meals is essential and a part of the job environment. And I believe that there are industry providing meals. It is a job environment. You almost, the workers won't even have a place to eat if you don't provide the food to the workers. So makes sense to me. And what this means for business. Additional exception for meals that qualifies for 100% deduction that take place in 2026 for vessels, facilities, and that specifically articulated area. So I'm going back on the slides because I want to show you this unsexy font printout, because they, you can see the details on that on the section 7305, and you have the A, B. On the B, you have these categories, so they literally go through details. The last C point says when is effective. So this is where we draw our content here. All right, so now there is a small change, but may not relate it to you if you don't own a fishing vessel. and or you don't own a fishing facility, or if you are not in remote operation, that kind of thing. But for the existing rules, there's already things that you should consider. So that is the reason why we go through history and we want to show you what's existed right now. Because in 2025, when you plan your taxes, and this need to be considered clearly so you don't wonder and whether this is 100% or 50%, and in what case can be 50% or 100%. Now you know, right? So just forget about entertainment. Just for meals, for business meals, you have 50% application, you also have 100, and just depends on which one you qualify. If you don't know which one you qualify, ask that question, right? So this is where we want to mention to the businesses that why you need to know this specific point we're trying to elaborate. So just in general, most of the business meals are 50% deduction rules, but they can be 100% for certain circumstances. So right now in my mind, if you paid per diem, it's 100% deductible. If it is for employer convenience and you provided meals, it's deductible. If it is your event, deductible. If it is related to marketing, deductible, right? Those are all existing rules. So you want to make sure that you have that in your head, so you can pull out the correct number for your tax preparer to put in that amount in the right category for IRS. Actionable takeaways, folks. And every webinar you hear from me, from my team, I want you to walk away with a to-do. You don't have to have 100 out of one webinar, but just one. Just one. So in this particular one, we want you to be aware there is a small change for 2025. Largely, the rules stay the same. You have 50%, you have 100%, and you want to separate your expenses on your accounting record. What are the 50%? What are the 100%? That's really your only to-do for 2025, right? And you can always consult your CPA, consult us, consult your attorney for the right thing to do. And I really appreciate folks that taking the knowledge you hear here and there and go into the process to validate. And don't just hear here and there and then try to apply, because you might be applying a outdated rule, right? All right. Internet is funny, right? AI search is funny. Depends on the engine, how quickly update they are. I couldn't remember. I was searching abbreviation of OBBBA, because I want to know whether the internet is already calling it as a One Big Beautiful Bill Act. I was searching for that. In one of the AI searching, it gave me a totally different name. It was not related. It related to medical some terms instead of this big act. So this is the danger you get. And one of the really funny stories is that I have a client called me saying that, why am I not talking about the $20,000 tax credit, the tax credit that the government give to small businesses who have under $20,000 income and stuff. I literally was like I was so surprised because I know nothing about it. So I quickly did my research. Didn't find it. So I asked my client, where did you see that? Can you show me what you got? So he sent me the link and everything. Guess what? It's from Australia. All right? Then the world is becoming so small when we check for tax code, and we can check Australia ones too. So just be really mindful of what you are looking at things, and try to go to the source, making sure that what you hear is coming from the real true source, coming from those ugly and sexy prints. That is the key. All right. Now, let's get to know our partners. We have 6 of us. So you can actually go onto our website to just click into appointment And then you will see this page. You can make appointment with any of us. All right. My last slide, but not the least, is to encourage you to subscribe to our channel. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Then you will always hear what we have for you. All right. And you also can email Catherine at communitycpa.com and to let her know the topic that you are eager to hear. Then we will put that on our website, put on our YouTube channel. Our YouTube channel is do-it-yourself channel. We give you the knowledge, expected you to learn and to do it on your own. But of course, if you need us, we love to have you. But our job is really, our time spent here is completely for your benefit. We want you to learn, right? And we are the firm open 6 days a week, Monday to Saturday. Yes, 6 days a week, even during the summertime, from 8:30 to 5:30. So contact us at our main number, 515-288-3188. I'll talk to you all again on Saturday. It's again about one big, beautiful bill act. I will drill that baby to the ground, and so we know what they are doing, and we learn everything they're saying for our business people. So small business owners, we take the advantage of the bill. All right. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.